I'm standing in a beautiful house, staring at a smiling teenage girl whose eyes look exactly like my oldest son's. In that moment, every lie my husband had told me for the last 14 years crashes down around me. I had spent my entire marriage believing he was a devoted husband who sacrificed part of every paycheck to support his sick sister. I never imagined that the woman I thought was dying was actually living a comfortable life with the man I called my husband. The truth I uncovered that day destroyed the life I knew, but it also became the beginning of the life I was always meant to live. My name is Evelyn, and when I married Daniel in the mid-1960s, I believed I had found an honest, hard-working man. He drove trucks across the country, often disappearing for several days at a time, always claiming he was working to give our growing family a better future. We built a simple life in Chicago, raising 3 wonderful children while stretching every dollar. Even though money was often tight, Daniel faithfully mailed part of his paycheck every month to his sister, Grace, who he insisted was seriously ill and had no one else to care for her. I admired his loyalty and never questioned the sacrifices we made because I believed family always came first. Years passed, and something always felt strange. We never visited Grace. She never came to birthdays, holidays, or family dinners. Whenever I suggested meeting her, Daniel always found another excuse. I ignored my doubts until one afternoon, while preparing his clothes for another trip, I discovered a handmade birthday card hidden inside his jacket. The message wished a happy birthday to a wonderful husband and father and was signed by Grace and a girl named Lily. My hands began to shake. Nothing about that card made sense, but deep inside I knew my life had just changed forever. Only a few days later, the trucking company accidentally called our house asking Daniel to take a delivery to New York. Confused, I explained he had already left for New York earlier that week. The dispatcher quietly informed me that Daniel had never accepted such a trip. The room started spinning as I realized my husband had lied about where he was. Searching through his desk, I found another bank account and an address for Grace in Indianapolis. Instead of confronting him, I decided to find the truth myself. I traveled alone to Indianapolis, terrified of what I might discover. The address led me to a beautiful home with a successful clothing boutique. A teenage girl welcomed me inside, and with every smile and expression, she reminded me more of my own son. When she happily called for her father, Daniel walked into the room. The color drained from his face as our eyes met. Seconds later, Grace arrived home, equally horrified to see me standing there. The truth exploded before anyone could deny it. Daniel had built 2 families, living 2 completely different lives for over 14 years. The money I believed supported a sick sister had actually paid for another home, another daughter, and another future, while my own children went without. The greatest shock came when Grace confessed she had also been deceived. Daniel had convinced her that his first wife had died years earlier. She had no idea I existed. We were not enemies. We were 2 women betrayed by the same man. Standing there together, we realized we had both spent years believing different versions of the same lie. I returned home heartbroken, but determined. When Daniel finally disappeared instead of facing the consequences, I raised my children alone while expecting my 4th baby. I turned my sewing skills into a business, working day and night just to survive. Months later, Grace contacted me after Daniel abandoned her as well. Instead of blaming each other, we chose something neither of us expected. We became friends. Together we opened a small clothing business, combining her talent for sales with my experience in sewing. What started as a tiny neighborhood shop slowly grew into a successful company that gave our children opportunities we never dreamed possible. The children eventually accepted one another as siblings, proving that love could survive even after the deepest betrayal. Looking back now, I realize the birthday card hidden inside my husband's coat did not destroy my life. It exposed the truth I desperately needed to see. The man I trusted broke my heart, but he also unknowingly pushed me toward becoming stronger, independent, and more successful than I ever imagined. The woman I once feared became my closest friend. Our children became one family. And together we built a future based not on lies, but on honesty, respect, and resilience. Sometimes the greatest heartbreak becomes the doorway to the greatest blessing, and that is exactly what happened to me.